Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, and today we have all but one of the Big Ten offensive and defensive coordinators hired. Maryland just fired. Well, not fired. He left for another defensive coordinator job, pretty much fired. But in this video, I do want to just kind of put that one to the side and give you my five best and my five most concerning coordinator hires in the Big Ten for the 2025 season. Now, I am leaving special team coordinators out of this. I know Ohio State's probably going to be hiring one here soon, but I feel like those are just so hard to compare to offensive defense, so I'm not going to include them. If you really want a video on special team coordinators, please comment below and I might do it. But I do want to also make sure people understand this is not a ranked list. I'm not ranking these coordinators. The order of these guys is not best to worst or anything like that. These are just five hires I feel confident will do well and five that I feel like I have concerns about. But before we get started, please do like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing videos all off season about the Big Ten, some super serious, some a little bit more joking, but it's going to be good stuff. And I hope that you watch the videos even throughout the entire off season with everything that's going on, news, opinions, everything like that. So like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and I'd love to hear them and go back and forth with you. All right, let's get back into this because coordinators hires make or break seasons at times, and in competitive Big Ten, these decisions are critical. So here's my five best coordinator hires. We're actually going to start with Michigan, and I have Chip Lindsey's kind of resume over here. Chip Lindsey, the offensive coordinator, hires. Michigan's decision to hire Chip Lindsey as their offensive coordinator is a strategic move that could signify or significantly enhance their offensive production. To me, it signifies a change for Sherrone Moore, who wants to bring in a more balanced passing and running attack. I won't lie, I did think when this position came open that the Wolverines might go out to try and make a splashier hire, somebody with a bigger name, but at the end of the day, just about anyone would have been an improvement over Kirk Campbell last year. So good on you. Which really, truthfully, good on Sherrone Moore to actually get rid of Kirk Campbell. There would have been a temptation to keep him around there after only 1 year. It's his first year as a head coach, but he moved on from him, and I think that was the right move. Coming from North Carolina, though, where Chip Lindsey managed to sustain offensive success, succeeding Phil Longo, Lindsey orchestrated a balanced attack with a focus on both the run and passing games. Even though Phil Longo did not work out at Wisconsin, I would not project that situation onto this one, as they are two very different scenarios to try to compare, in my opinion. Many will point to Lindsey's experience working with Drake May on how that bodes well for developing Bryce Underwood, one of the top quarterback recruits we've ever seen go to Michigan. To me, that's not the thing here, though. Like, I'm not looking for Chip Lindsey to, be a quarterback whisperer to Bryce Underwood, because quite frankly, he wasn't that for Drake May. Lindsey inherited May in his final season and built an offense around his superior skills. That's what I think is going to be best about Lindsey in Ann Arbor. His ability to create explosive plays while maintaining offensive balance perfectly fits Bryce Underwood and what Sherrone Moore is going to want to do with his new Michigan team in his second year as the head coach. His past success in both the running and passing game make him a good fit for Michigan's potent offense that they are want to kind of try to get away from only smash. Obviously, they'll continue to do smash football, but try to get away from only smash football, which I think is a good decision. Next is the arch rival of Michigan, the Ohio State Buckeyes, as co-offensive coordinators Brian Hartline and Keenan Bailey were hired there, and I really like these hires. Ohio State promotes from within, elevating Brian Hartline and Keenan Bailey to co-offensive coordinators. Hartline has basically, he has spent his entire career coaching at Ohio State, and he was the offensive coordinator, the sole offensive coordinator in 2023. Then he became co-offensive coordinator with Chip Kelly in 2024. Many are going to point back to 2023 and the issues that the offense faced then and try to delegitimize Brian Hartline. But I think the year he had to learn under Kelly will be super beneficial, and new offensive line coach Tyler Bowen coming in with his run schemes that he brings from Virginia Tech is going to be beneficial as well. Now, Not to mention, Hartline has already proven himself as the best wide receiver coach in the country. Let's not forget about that, right? He's consistently developing NFL talents like Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. The list goes on and on. The things I love most about this move by Ryan Day is the continuing of not calling plays, right? Ohio State fans want Ryan Day to continue to be in the CEO role that he was this last year with Chip Kelly. While Hartline will bring creativity and explosive play designs, especially through the passing game, he's going to be able to do that with his fingerprints on the game plan now, calling the plays, and I love that. Keenan Bailey is going to be there with him as well, as he's known for his attention to detail, excellent rapport with players, and complements Hartline's expertise, ensuring the offensive scheme will be sharp and multidimensional. Hartline also worked with Bailey as his assistant for a couple years in recruiting, so they have a strong working relationship already. Together, they bring the continuing of what Ohio State has done, right? Running Ryan Day's offense, all that good stuff, and high-level performance of Ohio State's offense to this coming year, maintaining their status as one of the most dynamic attacks in the nation. And don't worry, Buckeye fans, you can be rest assured stars like Jeremiah Smith, one of the best players, if not the best player in the country, and all their other star wide receivers will get their hands on the ball plenty of times next year. Also, another one we need to highlight is the other rival, if you ask some fans, Penn State hiring Jim Knowles and Anthony Poindexter. Now, Penn State made one of the boldest moves in particular. James Franklin made one of the boldest moves of the offseason, bringing in Jim Knowles to co-coordinate the defense alongside Anthony Poindexter. Knowles has had a super long career. He just spent 3 years at Ohio State, coming off a national championship run there as their defensive coordinator, and was a huge reason why they were able to win that national championship. He transformed the Buckeyes defense into a top-tier unit in just 3 years. Poindexter, meanwhile, is an established presence at Penn State, known for developing elite defensive backs. Together, they will lead one of the most talented defensive groups in the Big Ten and possibly in the nation. We'll have to see how it plays out, but possibly the nation, right? Knowles' aggressive and complex defensive schemes, paired with Poindexter's ability to recruit and coach up secondary players, could give Penn State a defense capable of competing and completing a national championship run. Now, let's actually go back and look at Ohio State, as Ohio State did struggle for their first couple years with Jim Knowles. Not necessarily altogether, but in the big games. I do think this is something we're going to need to look at. Fortunately for them, Tom Allen, I almost call him Tim Allen, that's not right. Tom Allen runs a similar scheme to what Jim Knowles runs, but there are some complexities to what Jim Knowles does that is, more or maybe just different than what Tom Allen did. So we're going to be on the lookout to see how this defense progresses and evolves throughout the year. If the defensive players can master what Jim Knowles is teaching them, I like for this to possibly be one of the best, if not the best defenses in the nation in 2025. Now, let's actually go back to Ohio State, as I think there is a lot of upside with, the defensive coordinator hiring of Matt Patricia and Tim Walton. I know, I get it. This is going to be probably JR's hot take of the video, and that's fine, I get it. Feel free to roast me in the comments section. But I think Patricia actually fits Ohio State, and Tim Walton fits them as well with what he's done really, really well, and he's deserved this elevated role. I do want to preface this by saying that Patricia is not going to make Ohio State's defense better in 2025 than what it was in 2024. That's not Patricia's fault. In fact, if you ask me, not even Jim Knowles would have done that, right? This defense is losing 8 starters from the defense. That was one of the best, not just of last year, one of the best we've seen ever in all of college football, and expecting 2025 to be just as good or better. I'm not going to say it's psychotic, but it's close to it, okay? So maybe by the end of the year, this defense is playing at a really high level, close to what Ohio State's was, but this defense is going to need time to gel and be put together. Ryan Day's decision to bring in Matt Patricia and Tim Walton as co-defensive coordinators is a good move that merges elite NFL experience with an internal coach that can continue what they've been doing at a high level. Patricia's impressive resume, highlighted by his multiple Super Bowl wins and flexibility, his player first defensive philosophy, building a scheme around your players instead of trying to insert your players into the defensive scheme, promises to inject innovative, high level strategies into the Buckeyes playbook, as he's most notably known for running the 3-4, but he's gone out of his way to run so many different schemes. I think he's kind of become a master at many of them. His background working alongside of Bill Belichick and actually taking some from Nick Saban as well has equipped him with a wealth of defensive insights that could prove transformative for this team. Meanwhile, Tim Walton, we can't overlook him. His deep familiarity with Ohio State's existing defensive scheme ensures that his fresh approach will build on a solid foundation rather than disrupt their proven formula. Together, this complementary strength could lead to a dynamic and adaptive defense that is well prepared for the challenges of college football. And as far as critiques, I get it. I've seen them all over Twitter and everywhere else. I get it, right? Rival fans hate it because Matt Patricia coached their beloved Lions and the Lions didn't do so well with Matt Patricia. I get it. But hardly any of those, and especially the Lions argument, is relevant, and some of them aren't even truthful, right? Assuming that someone will be a bad college coordinator or a bad college head coach, not that Patricia is the head coach, because they had a bad stint as a head coach in the NFL, is just plain wrong. Saying he was a bad defensive coordinator at the Eagles is also just wrong, as he was an analyst who had been thrust into calling plays the final 4 games of the regular season because the defensive coordinator didn't have the confidence to keep going for them. After being put into that tough spot, Patricia left the Eagles and took a year off of football to learn the college game and prepare to find a job in college in 2025. He was apparently studying with his former boss, Bill Belichick, who also got into college coaching by taking the North Carolina job. And I know what you say, well, why didn't Bill Belichick hire Matt Patricia? It's because he has a son, right? Blood's thicker than lead pencil. So I get it. I'm not trying to say Patricia is a home run hire and that he'll have no issues. I'm not saying that. I think if you just look deeper than just on the surface, I actually think this is going to be a good hire. I think Matt Patricia and Tim Walton make sense. And also, Ryan Day has shown an elite ability to build staffs by only ever missing on, I would say, one coordinator hire. 2, I guess, if you include Parker Fleming. But I don't think you can question Ryan Day at this point. So finally, is Ryan Day really going to screw this up? He just hired a Super Bowl winning coach. He just hired somebody who coached alongside one of the best head coaches in NFL football history. Like, okay, maybe, but if you're looking deeper than just like he was a bad head coach for the Lions, I don't think that's as relevant as the other information that we have on him. So Patricia, I think a good hire. Finally, for the best coordinator offense, not the best, for my 5 best coordinator hires, I have the Washington defensive coordinator, Ryan Walters, and former Purdue Boilermakers head coach. Just because he wasn't successful at Purdue doesn't mean he won't be successful at Washington. In fact, Washington bringing in Ryan Walters as their new defensive coordinator was one of the most intriguing moves of the offseason. Walters, coming off an unsuccessful time at Purdue as their head coach, was successful in his tenure as the Illinois defensive coordinator, where he helped shape the Illinois into one of the most dominant defenses in the country. Now, he had very good staff that helped make that happen. That's why Illinois still has a good defense, but you can't deny what he was able to do. His defensive schemes rely on aggressive coverage and strong linebacker play, which suits Washington's current roster rather well. Walter's proven ability to build a strong defense from the ground up makes him a perfect fit for Washington, in my mind, as they look to strengthen their defense for a run at trying to make the college football playoffs this year. Okay, let's get into my 5 most concerning hires, and some of these might be a little controversial. That's fine, but let's get into it. All right, my first concerning coordinator hire is Maryland's offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton. Pep Hamilton's return to college football as at Maryland as an offensive coordinator comes with mixed reviews. While Hamilton has an extensive experience in the NFL and at the college level, but it's only really all that extensive because he doesn't stick around any place more than really 2 years. The only place he really did was Indianapolis Colts, I believe, was the only place that he did that. That's because he was with Andrew Luck again. But his time with the Houston Texans, what you saw in offense there, they really struggled to find consistency. In Maryland's offense, which was dynamic at times in 2024, right? You have Ty Felton, some of those guys. It may not benefit from some of his more conservative play calling. Hamilton's track record with quarterbacks is solid, but I'm not sure how much you can truly credit Pep with coaching Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert, who seemed to pretty much already be ready-made products when he got his hands on them. He got Justin Herbert his rookie year, and Justin Herbert did win the rookie of the year, so we need to give him credit there. But the vast other amount of players that he's worked with haven't had that type of success. So was it a fluke, or was it who he truly is? I think it might be a fluke. This hire could hold Maryland's offense back if he doesn't adjust to the speed and creativity needed in the modern college game. It's been 10 years since Hamilton was a successful offensive coordinator in Indianapolis, and we'll see if he can bring it back. And unfortunately for Boilermaker fans, they're next on my list. Purdue's hire of Michael Schur as defensive coordinator seems like a pretty big gamble to me. Schur was previously a linebackers coach at Arkansas before he became the defensive coordinator at UNLV, and now he's being brought over with Barry Odom to be the defensive coordinator at Purdue. He lacks experience needed to be a coordinator for a high level, Big Ten conference team. Not that Purdue's a high level, but you're in the Big Ten conference where there's a lot of high level teams, right? And so only having a DC job at UNLV for the past 2 years before joining Purdue as their DC, it spells problematic for me. Purdue's defense has been inconsistent in recent years, and sure will face the challenge of turning around a unit that will be made up of mostly transfers, albeit a lot from UNLV, so that's good. But without zero experience, with zero experience as a Power 4 program defensive coordinator, Schur's ability to handle Big Ten offenses remains a question mark in my mind, making him a pretty risky hire for the Purdue Boilermakers. I don't know if he can be the guy to lead this defense into what it needs to be in the Big Ten. No real experience in the Midwest, no real experience in the Power 4. He was a linebackers coach at Arkansas, but still, I don't know. I guess if you're Purdue, you're thinking maybe he does what Kirk Cinetti did with his guys, bringing in all the UNLV players, like Kirk Cinetti brought in all the James Madison players. But I don't know. I think this is trying to recreate Kirk Cinetti, and it's just not going to work. All right, heading out west to UCLA. This one might come as a shock to some, and honestly, I might get more hate for this one than I do for saying Matt Patricia was a good hire for Ohio State. Not too high on the hire of Tino Sunseri to the offensive coordinator for UCLA. Overall, they're most analysts view Tino Sunseri hire as a really positive move for UCLA, given his offensive prowess, his experience developing quarterbacks, especially considering the team's most recent offensive success at Indiana. And I do think that there are definitely positives to this hire. This is not a hire that I say I hate. Again, this is just one of those ones that I have some concerns with because I think we look at this more than just he was on Cignetti's staff and made the playoffs. There are some concerns here we need to address. First among them is that this is a big step for a quick one for Sunseri. A lot of misconceptions out there that Sunseri was Cignetti's offensive coordinator at James Madison. He wasn't. He was their quarterbacks coach. Don't get me wrong. He did a really good job with a couple of quarterbacks that he had. One of them, McLeod Cloud, I think it was, or Cloud, one of those two. Now he did have he did do a phenomenal job with those quarterbacks. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but he never had an offensive coordinator role until he was the co-offensive coordinator at Ohio State or at Ohio State at Indiana this last year. The promotion worked out very well for Indiana as they had an excellent offense this last year, and statistically, it was one of the best in the country. But I am concerned about Cincinnati getting all the credit for when Indiana was also being led by Mike Shanahan, probably more so by Mike Shanahan, and the additions of the portal and stuff like that was led more by Kirk Cincinnati in charge of those things. Everything I keep hearing from fans and reading about from the media is that Cincinnati brought in the right transfers and that he drew up the best plays. But we can't forget that Mike Shanahan was the lead offensive coordinator there, right? He was the one in charge making the moves, and Cincinnati was definitely a part of it. He made a great evaluation to bring in Curtis Rourke. All the credit to him for that. But he wasn't responsible for bringing in every single offensive player. He wasn't responsible for calling the plays, drawing up all the plays. Like he did have some, contributions to that, but it wasn't like it was all just him. Additionally, can he draw up a run game? Mike Shanahan had longtime offensive line coach Bob Bostad as his run game coordinator, and it worked out really, really well for them. But we saw what happened versus Michigan and Notre Dame when Indiana struggled with their running game and trying to be able to run the ball. With only 40 yards on the ground versus Michigan and only 63 yards versus Notre Dame, Curtis Rourke struggled and had two of his three worst games of the year against those teams. Finally, my last concern is his experience. Cincinnati is 35 years old. That's not too young to be a coordinator, but he's only been a coach for 4 years, and 4 of those were under Cignetti. He's entering his 5th year as being a coach right now. Foster is a first-time head coach who is young and energetic, but the areas where he needs to improve, if you ask me, I would have liked to see Cincinnati have another year or two as the co-offensive coordinator, and I would have liked to see Foster hire somebody with more experience who can come in and be that guy. Bieniemy was a good thought process, but it just didn't work out. You could have brought in somebody, with that experience. I feel like this is just swinging the pendulum too far the other way. Cincinnati could have continued to learn the run game better and taken in what it's like to play Power 4 football more. But I could be proven wrong, right? Cincinnati is coming in from that Cignetti coaching tree that has been very good to so many different guys. He's developed quarterbacks at an elite college football level, and he's going to be young and energetic coordinator who will recruit and bring in that California talent. Time will tell. I don't dislike the hire. I just have concerns. All right, next I have USC and their offensive coordinator Luke Heward. He's hired as the offensive coordinator for USC, and it's drawn criticism due to his limited resume at the collegiate level. Now, Heward doesn't even have a wiki page, right? He doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. That's like red flag number 1, okay? Kind of a joke there. But still, like, while Heward comes in from a football family as an experienced coaching quarterbacks, his lack of experience coordinating an offense at a major program is very concerning. But in the end, like, I get it. Lincoln Riley's the offensive coordinator. He's the quarterback coach more than anything else. I get it. That's my distaste with this hire. It's less with Luke and more about Lincoln Riley. Riley essentially continues to be the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator and the head coach of this team. But at some point, Riley is going to need to give this up. It worked for a while at Oklahoma when he had the leftover players and the culture of Bob Stoops, and things were a little bit different with NIL when he was going over there. But still, now at USC, he continues to not learn his lessons, even after seeing someone like Ryan Day and Eli Drinkowitz have more success getting an offensive coordinator who they can trust to give up play call into and quarterback responsibilities. Unfortunately, this tells me that the defense might be better, right? I mean, D'Anton Lynn entering his second year, but the offense doesn't look like it will change all that much. It doesn't look like it will get all that much better. Lastly, let's go to another coordinator hire that I think is similar to Luke Heward. All right. Lastly, let's go back to Washington with their offensive coordinator, Jimmy Doherty. Washington's choice of Doherty as the offensive coordinator isn't bad on its own, right? Like this isn't a hire that I hate. Uh, he was with Fish at Arizona and helped develop Damon Williams this last year. But similar to Heward at USC, this isn't so much of on Dougherty as it is on Jed Fish. Dougherty has not been an offensive coordinator for like over 10 years. I think his last stop was at San Jose State. And he's never been an offensive coordinator in the Power Five. It looks like Fish is going to continue calling plays, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I think it's better overall if the head coach in college doesn't do that. Now, Dougherty did get this job late because they had their offensive coordinator leave, and I get that. I'm willing to give him grace on the hire because it comes late. But regardless, I still have concerns here, and I wonder if Washington could have done better. So we'll see. We'll see if they can do better. Maybe I'm blowing this one out of proportion, but there's just some stuff with the Dougherty hire that I think could have gone different and could have been better. That's all I have. The five best and the five most concerning hires in the Big Ten of the coordinators for the 2025 season. As always, only time will tell with how these hires actually play out in the field, but these are some of my early thoughts on who could rise and who could struggle. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with these picks? Who do you think is going to make the biggest impact? Not just these guys, but maybe all of the coordinator hires. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, like, comment, subscribe for more Big Ten football comment or for more Big Ten football content, and I'll see you next time.